America.
Only in America.
Only in America.
Only in America.
Only America.
Only in America.
This week, we return to Ohio and to Fugees Academy, a program advancing educational justice for refugee and immigrant youth.
I mean, every country that's had a war in the last 20 years, we have kids in the building. We have kids from warring factions playing on the same team. So it's not like one monolithic group, it's like everybody, which is what America is, right? And they're learning to get along with each other and be proud of their families and their parents, and they're not having to choose one or the other.
From the National Immigration Forum, I'm Ali Nirani, and this is Only in America. If you haven't done so already, be sure to check out Part 1 on Fugees Academy, which is the episode that we released last week. In that episode, we touched on the founding of Fugees Academy and some of the early stories of students and educators. But this week, let me take you back to when I visited the school in fall of 2021. Luma Mouflet, the school's founder, talked to me about a lot of things that day. Many of the things that we talked about, well, could be applied to most schools in one way or another. Things such as funding or scheduling or parent engagement or teacher development or, well, kids acting like kids. But one thing that we talked about that day was pretty unique to Fugees Academy. And that was how the 2016 election impacted our students and the school community overall.
So when the results came in, it was clear what was happening. Like, I remember being on text and some of the staff's like, can we just not go to school tomorrow? Like, we don't want to be there. I almost closed it. And I was like, no, we got to be there. Like, the kids need us to be there. And it was like, families were coming in. Some of the kids were crying. Muslim kids were like, they're going to deport us. And so we canceled classes for that morning. And we had like a big assembly. And we're trying to explain checks and balances and democracy, that the president doesn't have supreme power. Like, there's Congress, there's Supreme Court. So the different branches of government. So it's good for us to like explain why this country is actually very different than the places we grew up in, right? But I was struggling because I didn't know how much I believed it. Because, you know, I think if you've grown up in places where there aren't democracies, it's very easy to think it's going to go away. Like, no, there's no way. Like, you can always be a democracy. And then one of my teachers, he's like 6'3", 6'4", big black guy, veteran. He's like, I got this. He's like, you need to sit down. And he never he's like very quiet, very like, and he's like, you know, I served this country at a time where we didn't think we were going to make it, and we made it. And he's like, nobody's going to come get any of you because they're going to have to go through me. And it was just like, that's what we all needed to hear. And seeing like everybody else in the building kind of take the lead from him.
For years, the school worked to get past the trauma of that election and learn how to thrive under a Trump administration. Then, the January 6th insurrection took place.
That was also terrifying. I think some of the families felt governments were going to topple. This is how governments do topple. Like, we've all watched it all over the world. And the image of storming the Capitol, that was like terrifying to so many people. Parents would call, just like have a casual conversation. And parents don't call me for like, you know, hey, how's the weather? You know, it's usually like something's happened. And 20 minutes in, they're like, did you watch CNN? Like, did you see what's happening? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, is this like Syria? Is this, you know, like, and I was like, no, I don't think so. Like, this is not, and they're like, no, this is scary. Like, we're seeing them go in. Like, they said they wanted to kill, like, the people in there. And I'm like, oh, they're just, I was like trying to be dismissive, but it was scary. And I don't think if we fully recovered from that as a country, I don't think, because we brushed it under, and we haven't really addressed, this could happen again. Like, the underlying issue is still there. There's still some people that believe that was okay.
And making sure that students felt safe and seen proved much harder during the pandemic.
We kept soccer, so we'd play with the kids a minimum of once a week. Each kid got to see, interact, and play outside once a week. You know, we made sure everybody had internet access. We were doing stuff on Zoom. We started doing movie nights on Netflix. like showing a movie to everybody, and then they're all chatting online together. We did some like athletic challenges, like whoever ran 100-mile got a t-shirt, and then we'd shout them out, like trying to keep stuff that everybody would be aware of outside, because we couldn't do our events. We couldn't do trick-or-treating, celebrate Holy, like stuff that we took, I think, for granted we couldn't do. And then we did get-togethers even online that weren't academic focused. Like, let's just hang out and talk. What's going on with you? I think us showing up all the time, and the soccer piece, like being able to see each kid once a week. We also, like, we know our families, so if someone's struggling or unemployed, we're directing them in the right way. We distributed lunches every day to the kids. But then we had parents who were like, I'm going to show up and help you distribute lunch. Like parents who'd been here longer, who had cars. And so it's just nice it brought us closer together instead of further apart.
Months into the Biden administration, and hoping there would be a new approach to immigrants and refugees, Fugees Academy students, remember, representing countries around the world, were faced with yet another trauma-inducing news story. The terrifying images of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, followed by the mistreatment of Haitian migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. As you can imagine, it deeply affected both students and faculty.
It just reminded me of myself, and it reminded me of the experience that I've been through, because I know a lot of people, you could say, because my experience is different from theirs, but it's still the same thing, because theirs might be a little bit better, or theirs sometimes is way worse than mine. So it's just, I still see myself in everybody, because we all left there to come here to be in a better place.
A lot of people who start the war for no reason and those stuff, and like the innocent suffers the most.
It's pretty good because people can come to the country, and whatever they're facing in their old countries can be better when they come to America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like I was like that once, and it's like really shocking because it's like this is how people used to see me in my point of view, and their point of view, I mean. But yeah, I mean, you try hard to help them. That's all you really could do. But yeah, I really think it's like amazing how they're able to just come and just be like there.
I realized like I feel the same way, like, cause like I was just like them, and now we're trying to like, raise something for them.
That's right, these students were intent on helping those Afghan arrivals. The Fugees Academy even has a team that's dedicating to those arriving from Afghanistan that may struggle with the new American K-12 system. But what do the students and others at the school hope that Americans can learn from immigrants and refugees?
To get along and just be who you are. Yeah.
If they could really learn anything, it's just to, like, as you said, just help. It's like maybe even if you don't do much, like you don't help with much, just help a bit, like help out. It doesn't even have to be like a bunch of stuff. Just one thing would be enough, right? Well, they'll appreciate anything.
What does America get wrong? Everything which is coming outside America is bad. Everything that is not America is not good. That is one thing I have witnessed about it. So you don't have to prove yourself to no one, but at times it's like you are being looked upon. It takes a long time to pay through the American system. Even getting a job in the regular school, I was a sub for like all the time I was teaching in Columbus City School, right? Because it's like, you are not American. They wouldn't tell you that, but it's obvious. And you end up doing all the job that a regular teacher would do. But the accent is different. The way you speak is different. The way you think to them, it is different. So I remember I had to talk to some of the kids. I'm like, not here. I'm like, yeah, I might have an accent, yes, because I speak differently. But you also have an accent. You don't speak the same way I speak. So we are all different. In my country, you have an accent. But I am here. I understand you. I'm in your country. So yes, I speak differently. So if they will have this open mind to accept all, I would say at times we have it. Now look at these kids, and I'm like, they are doing so well than most of them in the mainstream. Tag of being a refugee, being an immigrant, being somebody different from what they believe is normal. If they can have an open mind, it will really help.
And what advice does Lewis, the coach of the Fugees Academy soccer team, have for those possibly struggling to adjust to the United States?
I would start off by telling them, like, don't get discouraged. Like, just because you don't speak the language, does that mean you're not going to get it? Just starting out very easy and try your best to start. Because it's easier for kids to sit around kids that speak the same language. So I would tell them, try your best to go and make new friends, because that's the best way. Even they're from different countries, but find a way y'all can communicate, because we found soccer and we know how to communicate with that. Just find a way to communicate with other kids, and from there your English will start growing and getting better and better.
Fugees Academy is growing quickly, with over 200 students and counting, and it's an exciting development that poses its own set of challenges and opportunities. Challenges and opportunities that come with the model that the Academy has chosen, and that is to serve refugee students only.
Like, it's hard because I don't want to ever turn away a kid. Like, so most of my cohort of school leaders, like, okay, this is the school for refugee kids, grades 6 through 12, and they play soccer. And I can't, like, I can talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but I'm like, no, just come visit. Like, come see it, and then you'll understand. Because you can't explain community. Right? You can't explain belonging. And so I'm always like, any chance I can get you in the building, it's just a much easier sell. It's hard to describe it, you know. And some people will ask, well, aren't you segregating? And I'm like, yeah, I am. Because we need to heal. The kids need to, when they mainstream, when they integrate, they need to know who they are. Otherwise, they're always behind, or they're always unsure of who they are. They need to have such a strong sense of self that they're set up for success. And for us, that takes segregating. And that's okay. But we have, I mean, every country that's had a war in the last 20 years, we have kids in the building. We have kids from warring factions playing on the same team. So it's not like one monolithic group. It's like everybody, which is what America is, right? And they're learning to get along with each other and be proud of their families and their parents, and they're not having to choose one or the other.
So where do students in the school see themselves in the future? Well, there are dreams of all kinds.
For me, no corona. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go outside, not wear the mask.
Yeah, I just hope 9th grade, because I'm going 9th grade next year. I just hope it's much better than 8th grade, because I'm not a big fan of 8th grade.
Not a big fan of it.
Not a big fan of it.
Work in a perfume place.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Society places too much pressure on immigrants and refugees as a whole. Yes. They have, I would say they have the stigma that they've been through a lot. They've been traumatized. Yes, we understand. But then we can have measures to help them out, rather than letting them feel that.
You know, I think people get into nonprofit work or the social justice work is to solve a problem. And for us, it's war and public education. You can't solve the war. That's like above my pay grade, but we can solve public education. We can solve the way schools welcome people, educate them, respect them. And like that's what we want to do, is we want to partner with schools, teach them what we do, help tweak our model so it fits, that every refugee and immigrant kid has access to this all over the country. So maybe in 10 years that will be, 5 years we're halfway there, and maybe in 10 years we close up because we've solved that.
Luma Mufla is the founder of Fugees Family. I want to thank her, Louis, Felicity, RJ, Julisse, Fabrice, and all of the other students and faculty at Fugees Academy for welcoming me into the school that day and letting us help tell their story. If you would like to learn more about Fugees Academy, please visit our website, immigrationforum.org/podcast. And if you like what you hear, subscribe to Only in America wherever you are listening to this episode. Only in America is produced and edited by Katie Lutz, Joanna Taylor, and Becca Wall. Our artwork and graphics are designed by Carla Leha. Me, I'm Ali Nurani, and I will talk to you next week.
Support for the National Immigration Forum comes from the Carnegie Corporation of New York, supporting innovations in education, democratic engagement, and strengthening international peace and security. And from Humanity United. When humanity is united, we can bring a powerful force for human dignity.